All right, how about that 7K range, Matt? Simmons, Harris, Bridges, Paul, where are you going?
I'm going to go with Kemba Walker. Kemba's coming off a pretty big game in his last outing. He went for 45 and a half DraftKings points. We already said Jaylen Brown is doubtful, and Kemba has increased his usage rate by 5.1% with Brown off the court this season. That's the top mark on the team. He's averaging 1.13 DraftKings points per minute in that situation. So even if just Brown is out, I think Walker is a very strong play. Tatum is also questionable. So if he gets ruled out, then Walker kind of becomes like a must-play type guy. He would carry a huge workload, albeit in a tough matchup against the Suns. But I like Kemba Walker in this price range.
All right, who do you like in this price range, Nick? Where are you going to go?
Yeah, you mentioned Miles Bridges. He's at 7,700 against the Bulls tonight. The Bulls are struggling on both ends without Zach LaVine. They were struggling even before Zach LaVine went out. And I think they kind of hit rock bottom last night, getting blown out in Cleveland. So they're on a back-to-back. The thing with Bridges, his last 9 games, 19 and a half points, almost 7.5 rebounds, over 2 assists, 3.1 threes per game at 40+% shooting. And then the biggest thing is he's playing 37 minutes per game since Gordon Hayward went out. And that number's been closer to 38 or 39 minutes over the last 4 or 5 games. So even if he has an off night, he's playing so many minutes that he ends up having a pretty high floor. So I do like Miles Bridges. I'll throw a couple other names out there in this range as well. DeJounte Murray going up against a Detroit backcourt that typically plays, first and second year guys. So some advantageous matchups there. And then Lonzo Ball at 7,000 could take advantage of that Orlando matchup that we talked about in the context of Zion. Again, worst defense in the league over the last 10 games. And I think Lonzo's ownership will be a little bit lower tonight as his minutes have been limited these last couple of games. But I thought he looked a lot better Monday night against Brooklyn.
Kenny, the 7K range.
Yeah, I also have Miles Bridges written down here, and I also can give you some pivots off of that, but I'll just add some color to what Nick said. Dating back to, he had an 8X performance against Milwaukee. That was when he really first started to get a lot of minutes, and he had 45 DK fantasy points. He's hit value in 7 straight games, 8X twice. He's had at least 5X in 5 of those games. I mean, this guy, as Nick said, has just been seeing almost 40 minutes a game, really, and the value has just been absolutely incredible. The Bulls are 20th in defensive efficiency over the last 10 games. They're allowing over 113 points per 100 possessions. He is in a very strong spot here, and this is just a very strange price range for me. There's not a ton of options, really. I mean, I think there's only like 10 guys you can choose from. Bridges is definitely my favorite, but another guy I had my eye on was Chris Paul. I can't really get a read on him because they did play in an overtime game, so obviously his numbers are a little inflated from that. But I do think that he's in a pretty decent matchup against Kemba Walker, who historically over his career has been a decent defender. This year he's had kind of some lapses, and I think that Chris Paul could have a pretty good game here. I think that in general, this is an overtime candidate, this game. I think it's going to be very close. So you're not going to have any worries about, a blowout like you might have in some of these other guys with the 7K price range. I think Chris Paul actually is a pretty decent play here against Boston. He should get used a lot in this game.